It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode here of Inside the Force, where we are going to talk about nothing but Star Wars. I am David Cottingham, one of your co-hosts, along with Casey Cooley.
Hey everybody, what's up?
We're excited. First off, I want to say thank you for checking us out, for listening. We've actually picked up a few subscribers just on our coming soon.
Yeah.
3-minute, preview of what we're going to do. So if you found us through that or just on iTunes, thank you for joining. Checking us out. If you've come to us through other podcasts, because we're part of the 21 Network. Again, thank you. If you aren't aware of what we do, we are part of the 21 Network, which is a network weekly podcasts, and it's all really fan-related stuff. So we are the only Star Wars, totally Star Wars. I mean, we talk about Star Wars and everything we do, but we have other stuff. Go check it out, 21network.com. There's a podcast on just comics. There's a filmmakers podcast called 21 Podcast. There's a Popular Fanatics podcast where it's all like pop culture stuff. Mm-hmm. And then KooCast, which is your brother.
This is just a potpourri of whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Fart jokes.
It's a podcast about nothing.
Podcast about nothing, that's right. But it's funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, thanks for checking us out. We are going to get right into what we do on this thing. First thing we do is we are going to highlight... We're going to profile something from the Star Wars universe. For example, this episode, it's so much to talk about. We're just going to focus on one small part where we're going to focus on the planet Coruscant and talk about basically some history of it, some things that laid out on it, but we cannot spend, we will spend a whole day on it if we want to sit talk about it. But so that's what we'll do is we'll pick something, a planet, a person, an organization, whatever, a religion, whatever. It could be anything. But we're going to talk about it and give you as much information as we know on it. Partly because, one, I don't think we're gonna sit here and tell you that we're 100% know everything about Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we are learning. We want to learn more. That's why we kind of want to do this too. But I'd say we're probably 100% geek about it.
Pretty good, yeah. We're doing pretty good for us.
Yeah. So, but then we'll get into a topic, any topic, either something we come up with or something that someone sends us, something comes up in the news or something like that. But we'll usually get into a topic. This one is basically just going to be our general feelings about the whole Lucasfilm being sold to Disney and where we think Star Wars stands and what we're hoping for. And then Casey mainly will get into some latest news on stuff that's been happening, which is pretty huge. Mm-hmm. And then mainly what's coming to us in a couple of years is Episode 7, directed by J.J. If you're totally in the dark about that, I'm sorry. I don't know where you are. And then I think one of the coolest things we're going to do is we got this book here. We both own this book. If you don't know what it is, it's called Obsessed with Star Wars. And it's got 2,500 questions. It's got 2,500 trivia questions from all 6 movies. Just the movies, really. But it's not just the movies. It's expanded universe as well. I mean, backgrounds of characters. Right. I mean, everything. So we're going to basically, there's 2 of us. So we're going to basically find out who is the master and who is the apprentice, right?
That's the rule,
Yeah, that's right. Only 2, right? So we're gonna like do a little trivia competition at the end of each episode and kind of tally it up, and after so many episodes, we'll determine who the master is, and then we don't know anything beyond that. We'll come up with something, I'm sure. So anyway, that's really what the premise of the show is going to be about. Hope you that sounds good to you guys. We're gonna hit this every week, every Tuesday. You're gonna get us Inside the Force. You can check us out online at InsideTheForce.com. Follow us on Twitter at Inside the Force. That's where you really need to, if you want to connect with us, just hashtag us or direct message us on there, mention us on there to get a hold of us for questions, comments, whatever, and we'll get them on the show.
Yeah.
So let's get into Coruscant.
Coruscant or Coruscant. That's not how you pronounce it.
No.
Coruscant. The C is silent.
The C is silent. The second C.
Second C.
Yeah, Coruscant.
First.
So what do
fact.
we know about Coruscant, Case?
Well, just kind of looking at the general information about it. I mean, if you have seen any of the movies, you know that this is a planet that the whole entire planet is one big city. That's kind of the most famous thing I feel like the general Star Wars fan knows about it. That it's all one big city. It's the hub of the entire government that controls the galaxy. During the Republic, even during the Empire, it was still the where everything kind of comes out of. It's where the government rests. It's where the Chancellor or the Emperor, the Senate. It's where it's all comes from. It's actually originally it was called Notron, but it's also known as Imperial Center or the Queen of the Core. Also, Queen of the Core, as in the core worlds of the galaxy of Star Wars, and this is the Queen of sorts, like the biggest planet, culture or government wise of the whole entire galaxy. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of stuff. Like I don't know what we want to get into next. I mean, there's little things that we know about how the whole planet has a series of levels or sectors, or levels, I guess, better word for it. It was originally like this normal looking planet, like Earth, pretty much had oceans and mountains and had a surface and all this stuff. But over the thousands and thousands of years of existence, there have been many manufactured levels built on top of the planet to I guess what's the word I'm looking for, to accommodate all the trillions and billions of
it's like
populations.
trillions of people, man.
It got overpopulated, so they had to keep building different levels, almost like a hotel, just different levels around the whole planet to accommodate everybody. So it's like in a way, it's like Vader. It's like half machine, half real planet. Like a lot of this planet is machine.
Yes. And if you look at, like right now I'm looking at, if you're looking at they have a diagram of the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's basically separated into regions, right? There's what's called the deep core, which is the middle of the galaxy. And then they have like outer rims, inner rims, what they call the colonies, the core worlds, the expanded regions. There's all these different regions of the galaxy. And they're saying Coruscant is 10,000 light years from the core. So it's really, really almost center of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Other planets that are well known that are around there are Corellia and Alderaan. Used to be Alderaan, now gone. But Nemodia was a popular thing in the Clone Wars. So there's a lot of and the deep core. That's where usually all the most sophisticated planets are. So it's obviously it was and another thing too is confusing. I think I want to point out to basically Star Wars people that maybe don't know it as much as we are, but because Star Wars always refers to systems.
Yes.
Right. They say, we're almost to the Alderaan system.
Yeah.
We're almost to, I don't
Tatooine.
Tatooine.
All that stuff.
Exactly. So anyway, this is basically what the definition of a system in Star Wars is basically a collection. They say a collection of planets that is revolving around a central star. So basically a solar system is what they're calling a system, right? But each system, it's like, for example, when they say the Alderaan system, there is a planet, Alderaan as well, where Bail Organa is, and Leia Organa grew up on. So there is, so what they have done is they basically take the most. I was looking it up here. They say it's basically the whatever is the most populated planet. That's usually, or the most central planet in that system is usually what is called the system. So Alderaan being the most populated and advanced planet in that solar system. That's why they named it the Alderaan system.
Yeah.
So that's so sometimes it gets confusing when someone is like, well, we're going to, I'd have to look up an example, but so-and-so system, but we're going to the planet Geonosis or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's Geonosis is necessarily the Geonosis system or it's in, but it could be, because they do say the Hoth system, right?
Yeah, a Hoth system.
But there is a planet Hoth. So
yeah.
so it is a little confusing sometimes.
Very confusing.
But because there is planets and there are systems. So sometimes they refer to them as both. You know what I mean? They call it a system or they call it a planet. Anyway, but so Alderaan or Coruscant, I'm sorry, is part of the Coruscant system. So there is a number of planets revolving around the sun there, but Coruscant being the main, and it's got a 24-hour standard cycle like Earth.
Yeah.
But it's got 368 days, not 365.
A little bigger, I guess.
A little bigger, I guess. Yeah, I don't know how that will take a little longer go around. But yeah, we didn't want to. We will eventually get into a more.
Yeah,
There's so much more to talk about in this, but I do want to. We do want to say like, how far you talked about the levels, right?
Yeah.
There was like 5,124 levels, I think. 27.
27. Yeah.
So people are familiar. We went to Celebration last year, and they had a game preview. It was called Star Wars Level 1313, which
we can get into that later on.
Yeah,
maybe.
but that basically describes what
Yeah.
the levels are. That everything that's really happening on that game happens on level 1313, which is 4,000 levels below the surface, which is pretty amazing. And if you watch the Clone Wars, you've kind of seen a little bit, of what's going on.
Yeah, I think even episode 2,
right?
I didn't catch it until recently, until I saw the Clone Wars. I'm sure like the movie Attack of the Clones deals a little bit with the levels,
right?
Just briefly though, but
yeah, and they don't even go down that far.
No, yeah,
and maybe that hasn't even been brought up at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if they even knew about the levels. Then.
I just thought it was the surface of the planet. I didn't know it could have been like a different level of the planet. Maybe the bottom of that level.
Yes, it was that level. The bottom of that level. Yeah, the Clone Wars did a really good job just in the last couple episodes.
Yeah,
where they showed the big
that tunnel shaft.
Yeah, the shaft,
whatever it was.
That we saw in the game. Where they just fly down it and you just pick whatever level you're going in, and the level is like another city almost. It is ridiculous.
And I was reading that there's no light down there, so the whole thing's artificially lit.
Totally.
And like there's a whole crazy system of the whole ecosystem. It's like because there used to be huge lakes and oceans,
right?
But they drained it, and now there's a crazy complicated scientific system of melting the polar ice caps and like aqueducts that kind of filter some water through all these levels. And it's just
I know. And another thing I read that I thought was pretty cool was everything is recyclable.
Yeah.
Did you read that? Mm-mm. Everything that is made on Coruscant, from clothing to, I mean, there's some waste that they have to get off planet, but majority of everything is recyclable. So they just whenever something breaks it just gets recycled into something brand new. So, but yeah, then I did read the population was at the height of the Coruscant. I think it was it 1 trillion people?
Yeah, there's some discrepancies though because different eras it has different populations.
Yeah,
so trillion is like a trillion something whatever is probably the latest census whatever.
Yes,
but that doesn't count the orbiting. I think there's like orbiting kind of like satellites.
Oh, right.
Or something like that where it's...
And it doesn't count like off-planet workers that were staying there for a while or something like that, and then...
It says orbital facilities. So there's
right. I guess space stations or something like that.
Space station satellites orbiting the planet that houses like lots and lots of more citizens. But it's just Coruscant. I mean, I remember watching episode 1 for the first time, and just when they first revealed Coruscant, and he said the entire planet is a city.
Yes.
And you just look at it. I mean, you could see it from space, like how...
But we didn't... Have you mentioned the origin?
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
The actual origin, which comes from... I mean, if you know or don't know, it comes from Timothy Zahn's books. Basically one of the books that started the whole expanded universe.
Right.
Which is Heir to the Empire, I believe.
What a lot of people consider 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. And that's a whole other topic, too. Like, Timothy Zahn actually, I think, talked with George Lucas about it. But I don't know. I could be wrong about that. But... its first appearance was, and I had to figure out the date here, I believe it was the early 90s.
The Zahn books?
Yeah, the Zahn books.
Yeah,
like
I think
the
they were
Zahn,
90s.
the Thrawn trilogy.
Right.
Which, I've read them. It's been a long time since I read them, but they're fantastic books. And he created Coruscant, the planet. And it's one of the very rare, I don't know, I'm sure that has happened a couple other times, but it was one of the biggest things that George Lucas took from the expanded universe and incorporated into the movies, which maybe that was actually his idea. He told Timothy Zahn to put it in the books. I don't know. And that's possible.
I would think that.
Yeah. So,
because I remember reading seeing an old interview with Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
Return of the Jedi was supposed to take place on what was a world like Coruscant.
Really?
I don't think he had the name Coruscant. I think it was Imperial Center is what he had it named.
Okay.
Because Luke, when he gives himself up,
Mm-hmm.
in the original script, Vader takes him to Imperial Center where the Emperor was. And at this time it was, I remember vividly the description because he has paintings of it. Ralph McQuarrie did matte paintings of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a city, but you go underground where the Emperor's throne room was basically, and it was a bunch of lava, so it looked like Mustafar.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of just molten rock and lava underneath the ground.
Yeah.
And that's where Vader and Luke ends up confronting the Emperor there. So, but it was impossible to shoot, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
So he turned it into another Death Star.
That's interesting you say the lava stuff because I read on here on Wikipedia that there was some like lava places that had lava on Coruscant.
Coruscant,
yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
So it's
just volcanoes, I'm sure,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
which
yeah.
is crazy. See, I'm trying to look up really quick just Heir to the Empire so I can correct myself on when it came out. And it was published in 91. All right, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, right.
And Heir to the Empire, it's just such a good. I mean, even in the expanded universe, it still has a big presence.
And it takes place, like 5 or 6 years after Return of the Jedi?
Yeah, somewhere between 5 to 7. It says 9 ABY, so that's 3 years. Is that 3 years after Return of the Jedi?
That's right.
Well, was Return of the Jedi 6 years after the 4? Wait, hold on.
No, it's 3, 4. 4 years.
So this is 5 years after
5 years, that's right, yeah.
Return of the Jedi. So in this book, we already have children, the Solo kids.
Yes.
And they're very young, which we can talk about later.
Yes.
How that will deal with the movies. But
right. So yeah, I do want to get into, because there's a lot more about, there's a whole history of Coruscant that I think we should get into later, but we just kind of, this time wanted to talk about the planet itself. Obviously the Jedi Council is there. Yeah. Obviously the Senate is there. Another thing I wanted to mention that I think is pretty cool is that, where did I see that at? There is next to the Senate building is the HoloNet complex.
Okay.
Which is basically how they get all the information. It's basically it's like Fox News or something. You know what I mean? It's like the place where they send out all the information, and that's the big thing about the underworld part of because it's populated. The only way they can get information is by billboards, those digital billboards and screens, because that's why that's all you see down there. In all in the movies and even in Episode 2. There's just lights everywhere because there's no light down there, like you said. So, and there's no way that they can, that's where they get a lot of their information, their news through the HoloNet stuff. So, I thought that was pretty neat. That, and I wish we would see that at some point, like the actual HoloNet. But because part of it, did you know that? Do you realize in like Episode 1, 2, and 3? Every way that they communicated was through hologram. Yeah. Right. Well, I think that was part of the HoloNet stuff. Like it kind of worked through that way. But did you notice that in 4, 5, and 6, there hardly isn't any? Yeah. It's only the Empire is the only ones that really use it because the Emperor banned that communication. So people couldn't communicate that well easily. So HoloNet was really kind of dismantled once the Empire took over. And I read about what it was all, what the complex was called, but I can't find it right now.
One of the craziest things in 789 is what will the environment and the culture be of 7? Because it should be different from 4, 5, and 6. 'Cause it's no longer like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. You know, we'll be closer to the vibrant and life of 1, 2, and 3. I mean, that's just crazy. What we'll see.
Yeah, so some of the locations up here on the top, like the Senate District we mentioned, Imperial Palace. So that was originally the palace of the Republic, but during the Galactic Empire, obviously Emperor Palpatine took over. And now there was a book. Do you remember this book? I think it came out in '95. Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, well, I never read it, but yeah, I know of it.
Oh man, you got to read that book.
You always tell.
Because that takes place between Empire and Jedi.
Yeah,
and Luke and Leia end up going to Coruscant.
right.
So that was really the first time to. I mean, so in film, because I can't remember the Zahn books. I know they talk about it. Do they actually go to Coruscant?
Probably. It has been a long time since
I don't think they do though.
I mean, I don't know. I would think they would have, because that's where they reestablished the government there. They have a new chancellor.
Right. Okay.
So I'm
I don't
sure.
remember the details in that book as well as I do in Shadows of the Empire, because that's where Black Sun, Sizer, Prince Sizer, he's there and he's trying to basically become the right hand man for the Emperor. So he's trying to get Vader out of the picture. So, and then obviously Luke and Leia are trying to find Han, and they're trying to, this Black Sun guy is they're trying to stop him as well. So anyway, they do go in Coruscant, and you kind of read the first description of it. And, I mean, it just puts it was really cool because I envisioned what it looked like, and then episode 1 came out, and I'm like, man, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really cool. So
It's also mentioned the comics here that we have. We'll talk about later.
yeah.
Han goes to Coruscant, which is pretty cool.
So the Jedi Temple, like I said, was there. And now that was a big question you had after episode 3, and then maybe like what we were going to talk about it possibly in episode 7, whether or not he's going to reopen that temple there, if the temple's going to be somewhere else. But, because Lucas put at the end of episode 6 in the celebration, you can see the Jedi Temple there. So it never got completely destroyed.
Yeah.
It's just abandoned now. So I don't know if which is cool because, in the games like Force Unleashed, they go to like different temples. Like he goes to old Jedi temples searching for Jedi.
Yeah.
And so there's other temples actually. Even Yavin is an old Jedi temple.
Yeah.
So there's other Jedi temples around. But obviously this one was the center. And this is where all the training happened. This is where they brought all the younglings and all that stuff. But there are other temples around. And abandoned, through the years, because that one in Yavin was abandoned.
Yeah, that temple though in Yavin, I think it used to be, I think, just like an indigenous temple as well. I think that might have been how it started. Because in the book it's called the Masazi Temple, I think. So it might have been used for different things. But that's in the books. Yeah, it's always referred to as the Masazi Temple, which I guess that might be why Luke chose it, because it was like a Force presence there. Because there's other things that happen on Yavin that, like, there's like almost like there's a one Sith Lord Exar Kun who has like I don't know if he has a tomb there, but there's like almost like a dark side cave like in Dagobah that's on Yavin. So yeah, it does have some definite Force kind of presence there, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean, I think that's some cool speculation if Luke might bring it back on Coruscant. Be pretty cool.
So well, do you have anything else to say? Because I'll close on
about
this.
Coruscant.
So we'll get into more of Coruscant,
Yeah.
in more of the history and everything like that at some other time. I think right now we just wanted to kind of talk about the planet, give some facts, some early stuff, and what you may or may not know right now about it. But we'll get into more because that's so big of a thing. I mean, it's so hard to talk about it one time.
Yeah.
We talk about it for 2 hours if we want to get into everything. But I'll close with this because I just found. There's a quote from Timothy Zahn here from Celebration 3, which I attended up in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
He says, just to make it clear, I did not invent the planet. George Lucas had invented the planet, the planet-wide city a long time ago. When I was starting the Thrawn trilogy, they told me to coordinate with the West Endgame source material that they had listed as the Imperial Planet. Well, nobody names a planet Imperial Planet, so I thought it needed a name, so I picked the word that means glittering. Coruscant. Apparently, when it came time to choose a name, People persuaded George to go with Coruscant and be done with it, so I felt very vindicated. The tail wagging the dog. It was an honor to be slipped into the movies this way.
That's okay. There you go.
There you go.
That's awesome.
That's where the name Coruscant
Yeah.
came from. It means glittering.
Yeah. There's other times too. I'm pretty sure where Lucas has incorporated a character from the expanded universe. In episode 3, there's, I think, Quinlan Voss, was he from the expanded universe originally? I don't know. He was mentioned in episode 3, and there's like another character. But I don't know if it was another case like that where Lucas had created him first and then just threw it into the books. You know, it's very interesting. I would like to know how much of the expanded universe came from George Lucas, like certain characters.
I would say a lot. I mean,
like if Mara Jade was a Lucas origination, or if the Solo twins, you know. If so, then they would probably be in the movies, you know. I have to look that up here or something like that.
Because that's one topic we've always talked about was, George, who knows how many notebooks and stuff that he's written ideas down, you know what I mean? But, we found out when I did some research when we were talking about this whole buyout thing was when Lucas, when people were writing novels or comics.
Yeah.
I was always under the impression that they did go to him first.
Yeah.
But there's actually another guy that's in charge of Lucas books, like Lucas, or it might be Lucas Arts. I don't know, but there's a guy, and I can't remember. I failed to get his name right now. But there's a guy in charge. Mm-hmm. He's the one that kind of kept everybody in that continuity. Mm-hmm. Now, so we found out, if you don't know this, or everybody listening doesn't know this, we found out that there's several levels. There's a couple levels of canon in the Star Wars universe. For one, there's G canon, which is George Lucas canon.
Yeah.
And that is everything that he does and he approves, which is right now all 6 Star Wars movies and the Clone Wars. Everything else is not G canon, which means to him that's the entire Star Wars universe. Mm-hmm. Now, you have what's called expanded universe, like you said. That is fallen what's called EU canon, right? Expanded universe canon. So that is not technically. It is technically on the same line right now as G canon, but there's what's called N canon, which is non-canon.
Yeah.
And when George contradicts something that's in the EU canon, it drops it down to N canon. For example, the most notable one was there was a comic. I think it was a comic or it was a novel that discussed the origins of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I don't know which one, but yeah.
I think it was a novel. It actually gave him a different name, a planet he was born on and all this stuff and how he got in to be a bounty hunter. Well, obviously, episode 2 comes out and totally pushes that book into non-canon. So it becomes just a different tale, you know, and not part of the storyline. So, I can't think of anything offhand exactly that is contradicted now, but it will start changing now, I think, with the release of the movies, because these are going to be canon movies, and anything in the expanded universe may suffer because of that. Like you said, if he did not do Mara Jade, and it comes out now that Luke has never met a Mara Jade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everything in the expanded universe pertaining to that is pretty much dismissed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. So, but anyway, we're kind of getting into a whole different conversation. But so we do want to talk about. Do kind of want to get on a topic first about just our overall feelings about what it is the state of Star Wars right now, and for anybody, it was weird because I do want to mention this. Like, it's strange to think because I want to feel like that everybody knows that what we know about what's going on with Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
But we were doing an interview. I don't know if you heard this interview. We did this interview on in the comics. If you guys listen to it. It's issue 7 and in the comics on the 21 Network. We interviewed kind of a celebrity actor, you know.
Yeah.
That I won't. You guys can figure out who it is when you listen to it. But he had no idea.
Yeah, he seemed like to be a big Star Wars fan too.
Yeah,
had a lot of Star Wars toys and all that.
He had no idea. He had no idea Lucas even sold.
Yeah,
and I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know if you caught my tone. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is what's, and I was like acting like a kind of a sarcastic
Yeah.
news reporter, but I was really I was really telling him for the first time that Lucas doesn't own Star Wars anymore.
Yeah.
And so I just, I was just weirded out by that. But anyway, so there's some people out there who might not know, but if you're really a Star Wars follow the Star Wars movies, I think you know that he sold to Lucas, or Lucas sold to Disney. Disney owns Star Wars now, Lucasfilm.
Mm-hmm.
But it is still Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy is president, overseeing everything. So for a while, I had mixed feelings. I think we both talked it out. But what's your overall feeling about the whole merger?
Well, when I first heard about it, I was ecstatic. I mean, I guess when I was told the news, I was actually in the middle of class, and I was like reading a script in class, and a friend of mine texted to me, and I was literally kind of bobbing in my seat, freaking out. But I saw the headline, like I think Lucas sold Lucasfilm to Disney, and Episode 7 is gonna be made. I think I just looked past the selling part and narrowed in straight on Episode 7, and that's what I freaked out about, and that's why I was super excited. Thinking then like after I thought about, okay, so he's actually selling it, which thinking about it is very strange to me, like why he would just sell it. And we talked about, why would he sell it? He didn't have to sell it or whatever, stuff that kind of stuff. But after just thinking about it, I actually love the idea that Disney has it, because I feel like they take good care of brands, and they're not one to, everybody's. I talked to some of my friends at school. They're afraid of Disney. Disneyfying Star Wars, but that's true in some things, but not everything. They didn't Disneyfy, so to speak, Marvel. They've kept Marvel the same. It's very dark in its own way, and it's still family in a way. I mean, it's got a good balance, but so I don't think Disney's going to ruin Star Wars. I love that Disney has Star Wars. I think they'll take care of it for years and years to come, because even though Lucas will pass, I don't think Disney will pass anytime soon, the company, and I think I think Disney will be around for a super, super, super long time. And I'm glad that now, because of Disney will be around, I'm glad that Star Wars will now be around forever, because Star Wars needs to be around forever. So I think this had to happen, I think. And I'm glad it did.
I agree. Yeah, I'm with you, though. I think that totally makes sense, because I think if he held on to it,
Mm-hmm.
I still think that these movies could still get made. I mean, he can get Kathleen in charge still and go after JJ and all this stuff. But I just think this allows them to actually market more and market them just more on a more global scale. I mean, even though it is global, I mean, man, I don't know. There's not many people you can find that don't know Disney. Mm-hmm. Just like you probably can't find that many people that don't know Star Wars, but Disney's been around for, I mean, how long? I mean, since the 30s, 2030s, so.
And it's crazy because like Lucas had the money to make Star Wars, and if he passed, who would pay for Star Wars unless he didn't sell it? So now
that's correct.
There will be money to make Star Wars forever.
That's right, and the fact that they, and we'll get into on the news, I think more about, but I think that the biggest thing is right now I'm weirded out right now because the stuff in the last few years that I've been accustomed to, as far as like the Clone Wars and seeing like detours. I mean, all that stuff's getting shelved right now.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure. And I have a theory about that. I don't know if it's the right time to do that now. Or
I think I've heard you've mentioned this.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard your theory. Yeah.
So all in all, our feeling is that I think we both think this is a great move for Star Wars. And I'm not going to sit here and say Lucas sold out or whatever. I mean, I think he did what's best for the company by far. And I don't think there's anybody besides Spielberg. I don't think there's anybody best to take over than Kathleen Kennedy. So anyway, going on to what they've announced recently was about canceling Clone Wars for one, and then shelving everything from Detours, which is, if everybody doesn't know that, it's a Star Wars animated series that was going to come out, made by the guys that do Robot Chicken. And it was the comedic side of all the characters. But it was canon.
Yeah.
I mean, it was going to be. So anyway, it was going to be a very comedic Star Wars show. I mean, the game got shelved, right?
Yeah.
It got pushed back.
Yeah, I even read an interview with Sam Witwer, who is the man behind Starkiller and Force Unleashed. He was asked about third Force Unleashed, and he said, they do want to make one, but there are no plans as of now because of Episode 7. Basically, the same reason why 13 is being shelved.
Right.
And Sam Witwer was he said, I kind of agree with what he said, but I don't know. But he said, if they need to shelve that to focus their attention on Episode 7, then do it, because I would, basically he would rather see a good Episode 7 than have, divided attention.
Yeah. Well, okay, so my theory is, because for one, you have enough people.
I agree. Yeah.
I mean, if you really wanted to do a game, the people doing the game aren't the same people doing the movie.
Right.
The people doing the animated series aren't the same people doing the movie.
Right.
So whatever. But what I think is going on is I think Disney is trying to clean the slate. They are trying to seem as if it's rebooting Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, similar, I guess, to what Star Trek did, what JJ did to Star Trek. Because that's what he's basically doing, right? He's got to keep it in the same timeline as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but basically start over. And I just think that Disney doesn't want, because let's face it, there are negative opinions about the Clone Wars, about the prequels for sure. And, nobody that is in love with the original trilogy is really on board with anything that's been done since. Let's face it. I mean, we know a guy that we just worked on a web series with that is a diehard original trilogy, and he hasn't seen any Star Wars material, really. He hated the prequels, hadn't seen any of the Clone Wars. So,
it's breaking my heart.
I know. I'm almost tearing up here. But
we love you, though.
Yeah. But it's just amazing to me that. So basically, I think what's happening is I think Disney knows this. I think even Kathleen Kennedy knows this, and I think that they are basically gonna just pull the sheet, just cover your eyes.
Yeah.
Everything Star Wars for 2 years.
Yeah.
Give you nothing but glimpses from the movie, and just let that anticipation build and build and build. Which I gotta say though is a brilliant idea.
If that is their plan, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm all for it. That's really cool.
So what do you think about that opinion?
I love it.
You think you agree with that?
I agree with that. Yeah. And especially if that is what they're doing, then I think then do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't think the Clone Wars really was going to be a problem. I definitely think Detours.
Yeah.
Because the comedic parts of it, I just think that people would have been, if people laughed, that's one thing, but if people hated it, which, there were going to be haters, I think that would have killed a lot of the view of Episode 7.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to, have a parody of Star Wars right now when you're trying to make it serious and believable again. You're making a parody of something that everybody already hates because they're making fun of the prequels. It seemed like mostly,
right? Because Jar Jar was in it.
Because it was set in between 3 and 4, so it's basically making fun of the prequels.
Correct. Yes. I think it was almost more towards 4 because there was the opening of the Death Star.
Yeah, they had Han Solo in there and Chewie.
Yeah,
in there. And it did look hilarious.
It looked
so funny.
really good.
I hope somehow we get it, but
that's another opinion of mine is I don't think we'll ever see Detours.
You don't think we'll ever see it?
I don't think
we'll. See, I feel like
maybe a straight to video.
Yeah, I just feel like since it's already made, they'll have to use it somehow.
Yeah, online or something like that. But we'll never see it on network television. I don't think. I don't think Disney will ever carry it.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, man. I mean, because just think about it, because we talked about like the director Todd Grimes. I mean, he spent years on this.
Yeah.
I mean, they mentioned this, and I was at the panel, but they mentioned this at Celebration 4 in 2007, right? Yeah, 2007. They mentioned Seth Green did a panel there and was like, "Yeah, we're working on a." I mean, 2007.
I remember reading that. Yeah,
and then we saw the first glimpse of it in 2012. So it's like they've been working on it for 5-6 years, and oh man, that's just
where it comes with Disney. You know, like I said it before, they protect brands. They're going to protect Star Wars, but they're also going to protect themselves.
Yeah.
Having a comedy like this, Detours, kind of like a cleaner version of Robot Chicken, Family Guy,
Right.
basically. And that's still too much for Disney. Disney doesn't really do that, so they weren't. You know, that doesn't fit the Disney model. You know, as much as it does.
But what's so
Star
awesome
Wars.
about it was that it wasn't stop motion.
No,
But it was better, than Family Guy animation. The animation on it was so good.
that was pretty funny. No, like I mean, if you haven't seen it, it's not like realistic. It was a characterized.
Yeah,
But it's still
absolutely.
really awesome. Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing now is you can't even see. They took all the video down.
Really?
Everything.
Like I saw the Facebook page. I think that's
gone.
That's gone too.
Oh, I don't know about the Facebook, but all the video is gone.
Dang it.
Yeah, so you can't even watch it now.
Look on my Twitter page. I have. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't want Disney to get me down.
You have what?
I tweeted about it when we went to Celebration. I tweeted about the show. So,
but someone mentioned that all the Star Wars, the YouTube Star Wars, like all the trailers and clips, they're all gone. There's no mention of it now on the website. Like I think if you type in Detours, it says sorry. It's taken down. I don't know. It's that hurts because I wish.
I just don't know why they would even, because when they were promoting it in Celebration, they were very, hush hush about when it would come out, because I'm sure they knew. I guess they didn't know it would be shelved.
Well, that's a question because we know Matt Steinreich, who is a co-owner of Super Monkey, and we actually were hanging out with him. And I remember I asked him the release date. He's like, "I can't hear you."
Yeah,
I'm like, "When is it coming out?" I'm wondering because they were talking then.
Yeah.
They admitted that they were already talking, right?
They had already decided to sell it by then.
Yes, you're right. So the big thing is who knew inside? Like he's not part of Lucasfilm, right? So he even said, responding back in a tweet to me after it happened, he's like, "Yeah, we were just, we're just contract people." So
yeah,
they didn't. I'm pretty positive. I'm 100% positive they had no idea.
Yeah,
that Lucas. They might have heard the rumblings that they were selling, but they had no idea what Disney was going to do. I don't think, and that's possibly why it never got released or it never got a release date. I mean, I would think that that's got to be the reason.
Yeah, same as Clone Wars. They didn't know what was going on. I mean, that's the thing with shows; they just get canceled out of the blue. And you never know. That sometimes the actors don't even know.
That's right.
What's going on?
Okay, it looks like there is a Star Wars Detours Facebook page still.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any video on here anymore. Probably not.
Man.
But anyway,
I mean, I also feel kind of prideful about that.
Well, this one is
like we have seen footage of this.
Yes,
no one will ever
totally.
see again.
Well, this actually, I don't know if this is it.
But you know what?
These might be fake.
This is actually good for 21 because remember, the main characters of Detours were two stormtroopers.
Correct.
They were like the comedic buddy cop duo, and they were like doofus, like bumbling kind of stormtroopers. And it looked funny, but it conflicted with 21's Rise of the Troopers, or the whole, was it TK 421 and 221?
221 and 212.
212, yeah. I was actually doing the real stormtrooper.
421 is from the movie.
Yeah, 221, 212.
Okay,
so
it's
awesome.
gone. It's not on here.
Okay.
The ones that are on here are like fan ones, because they have like Spanish language and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the official, I never even knew if I knew that they had an official fan page, Facebook fan page.
Yeah, I remember looking it up, I think, around Celebration, but I just looked up the other day just to see if they even had any video of it.
No more video. You can't find it anymore. So that's our feelings about it. We love Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved the animated series, the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sad that it didn't get the proper ending because I think it needed one more season. I wish they would just do a whole another season, but I think what was the last you heard that we're going to get
2 story arcs. I think it's I don't know if it's 3 or 4 episodes. I don't remember reading that, but 2 story arcs to finish out the thing, and they have already cut story arcs that were going to happen. Like they had story arcs that were going to deal with Boba Fett and some of the other bounty hunters like Cad Bane and Aura Singh.
Yeah.
So we're not going to get those anymore. Because I know Dave Filoni wanted to show Boba Fett getting his armor.
I know, man.
So we're not going to see that.
Well, see, I think we might see that in a movie.
Yeah, probably.
I think they're saving because the rumblings of separate Star Wars character movies.
Yeah.
One of them is definitely Boba Fett. One is definitely Yoda
And Han Solo.
Right, yeah. I even heard Mace Windu as a possibility.
That'd be awesome.
So I think we could get a Boba Fett like between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Towards more towards 4 where he's kind of older. I think Aura Singh could be still in it. That'd be awesome. Like we talked about a Cad Bane, a live action Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
That would be pretty awesome.
I love Cad Bane.
So yeah, I definitely think. I mean, that's the biggest thing about this whole Lucas selling out is I think not selling out. I don't want to say it like that.
He's
selling Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna grow old with Star Wars movies. I mean, how freaking awesome is
There's
that?
still a chance I can be in Star Wars.
I know. That's right. I mean, there's a chance of anything. I mean, it's just knowing, I mean, what's exciting is just a year from now. Not even when the movie comes out, 2 years when the movie comes out, but a year from now, what are we going to know? Like what movies are coming, I'm hoping they at least do that. They don't hold back information of what they plan on doing beyond 7 and 8, maybe, and 8, 9, whatever. I wish they would lay this groundwork. Like, okay, there is a Yoda movie in development. There is because guys like Lawrence Kasdan, he's writing something, right? He's writing or supervising one of them.
He's supervising 7.
7,
along
right.
with that dude who did Sherlock Holmes.
Correct.
And both of them, respectively, are also writing their own spinoffs.
See, I hope they talk about those, and reveal kind of what those. I mean,
I'm sure they've already got a game. Like that's an article I read. Bloomberg published an article about the whole deal, and one of the crazy things I read from it was how they already had all this stuff set. Like before, what they announced the merger was October of last year of 2012, but they had already been talking about it when they reopened Star Tours, which was like earlier that year, I think, or maybe in 2011, I can't remember. But back in June of 2012, they had already contacted Michael Arndt to write Episode 7, and they released that he was hired back in December or January.
Yes.
So they've been doing this they've got a game plan. They're just not releasing it, which is awesome but angering.
I know, man. I know. So let's get into what's the latest on Episode 7.
Okie dokie.
Because we are getting Episode 7. If you don't realize this, there's another movie coming out, Episode 7.
Let's see. Well,
which is basically, I think we've been told it's like 30 years after Episode 6.
That is the rumor. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything we're saying is rumors based, obviously.
And
the facts is J.J. Abrams directing.
Yeah, which I'm glad that is bringing on a lot of fans too. A lot of skeptics are being like, "Okay, J.J. Abrams, all right, cool." Then,
and a lot of hatred from Star Trek fans.
Yeah. All right, let me bring up the original article here. I read it from theforce.net, but
and I'll say it, I hate Star Trek.
Yep, I like the new movie.
I like the new movie, but I hate Star Trek.
And people ask me like, "Do you really hate Star Trek?" I'm like, "Yes and no." Like, I'm not gonna I'm not angry about it, but I like the fun of not being a Trekkie. So okay, so here is the latest rumor coming from cosmicbooknews.com. It says this people got our DC Entertainment source who they've been providing, like, they're just listing like their credentials, basically. Like, they've gotten information from Man of Steel, from Justice League movie, from Batman reboot. So they're basically telling everybody, we know we're getting good information in the past, so you should take this as maybe being true. So their sources tell them that Episode 7 will be set 30 years after Return of the Jedi, which has been the rumor that has been talked about a lot. It will feature the Skywalker / Solo children, plural, children coming to the peak of their powers. So maybe that can mean that they are a little bit older, because it's 30 years. So maybe they're already in their 20s.
Right.
The peak of their powers. The Jedi Order has been rebuilt with Skywalker as Grand Master.
Yes.
So the Jedi Order, which is, I guess, maybe similar to what we saw in the prequels, that Jedi Order. And this is the biggest thing, the biggest plot. A disciple of Emperor Palpatine aims to rebuild the Sith armies of the Old Republic and destroy the Jedi, where the Skywalker children will be thrust into battle and face their inner demons of their Skywalker lineage. That's pretty meaty there.
That is meaty.
Like, if we just dissect this just a little bit, like, I mean, there's speculation of what the disciple of Emperor Palpatine means. We both have our opinions on that we can talk about. But the fact that he aims to rebuild the Sith armies, if you know anything about the Old Republic, if you saw the trailers for the Old Republic video game, it's like literally an army of Sith.
Totally.
Versus I hope there'll be a lot of Jedi in Episode 7 to battle these Sith. Because if it's like just a group of ragtag Jedi in training, then that's going to be pretty tough. But it seems like, so the disciple of Emperor Palpatine with the Sith armies, they're trying to wipe out the Jedi of the new Jedi that's out there.
Yeah.
And the Skywalker children. So it's, I mean
that, and we had talked about this a little bit the past week or two, but like that to me is, that to me is the most obvious way to go. Mm-hmm. Because I'm glad, I'm hoping it's true. Like I said, it's a rumor, but because I don't want, I think they would make the mistake if they brought back Palpatine for some reason. Because if you think about it, you go by expanding universe, he does come back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You find out there's a cloning facility somewhere. His spirit, when he dies in the Death Star, travels across the stars. It ends up into one of his clones. Because this is where it was Dark Empire.
Dark Empire, right? Yeah. He has tons of clones. That was a thing.
Tons. Luke falls in order to save, a planet. Like he has to choose. There was a planet. I think it was Mon Calamari. It's
been a while. Yeah, I think
that was supposed to get destroyed because I think Admiral Akbar was part of it.
Yeah,
it's part of the story. He's basically the Emperor says either turn dark to the dark side or I'm gonna, and he does. So then Leia has to go and save her brother. Yeah. She gets a lightsaber, an old lightsaber on Coruscant. I think she goes into the underworld. Gets an old lightsaber from this dying Jedi that's hiding. It's an awesome story, man. I loved it.
It really shows Luke as he has grown in the Force, which is really cool.
And this is before the Thrawn trilogy, so this is literally like 2 or 3 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So, maybe shortly because the kids aren't born yet. I don't think they're married yet or anything.
No.
So. Very good comic series. You can buy the graphic novel Dark Empire. I think there's Dark Empire 2. I think they made a sequel. But so I'm glad that they're not bringing that back. I'm glad they're not trying to bring back an old characters from the original trilogy. But so you have to create, but because this is still part of that cinematic universe. Yeah. It has to be a Sith still somehow. Yeah, I think because I just don't think the Empire or a Thrawn. I don't think that would be significant enough to make a movie around. I don't know.
So I always feel like there's still. I think the Sith army will be the main threat, but I feel like I still want to see just some sort of remnant of the Empire, maybe even if it's just a very small remnant. Because I don't know. I feel like that's the continuing thing throughout the whole trilogy. I could live without it, but I would like to see a little bit of the Empire.
But what's cool is I think, and I think Lucas talked about this before. Yeah. What you're going to see is episode 1, 2, and 3 was about Anakin, right? 4, 5, and 6 were about his kids,
right?
And now you're getting the next generation.
Exactly,
you're getting Leia's kids. Yeah, and so I do think that's pretty cool. Where in the first 3, you saw the height of the Republic as it fell. The next 3, you saw the height of the Empire, and then it fell. Now, yeah, you're seeing probably the height of the New Republic, and the Sith trying to take it back, which I think is it. Like you said, it continues the story.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think I don't know if the other thing is if it was 10 years, maybe you would see some remnants. But I think 30 years. I think by that time, all the Star Destroyers are gone.
Okay.
All the it's hard to see any stormtroopers around or anything. You know, that's the thing too. Is are we going to see any stormtroopers or clone troopers? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, probably not. Yeah, probably not. Like in the expanded universe, they're definitely around a little bit, but just realistically, I don't feel like they'll be around. I don't know.
Because think about it. In Episode 1, there are no clones or troopers around. It's all military police, Jedi keeping the peace. So I'm assuming it goes back to that.
Yeah.
You know, that they train a couple more, 100 Jedis to kind of, and then they have the governors again that take. Because remember in Episode 4, the Senate was disbanded, so there was no Senate representation anymore. There was all Emperor Palpatine, and then he had governors in charge, tyrants basically in charge over their systems.
Yeah.
So now I'm sure there's better, more real governors and more senators again. Senators. So I do think. What about Leia? Do you think she's the chancellor?
I think she'll be a chancellor again.
I do too. I do too. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Like I just imagine her like just a very good seasoned Princess Leia, like in the capital, like in Coruscant, just doing her thing. She's just. I mean, I think she'll have a little bit of. We talked about this. A little bit of Jedi training. I feel like I can see her like having like private lessons with Luke or something like that. But I think she'll have a lightsaber. She'll have that training, but it won't be as sharp as everybody else because she's focused on politics. It's just gonna be interesting to see what Han Solo will be doing because he's always the scoundrel. So will he be mixed up in the politics like with Leia, or will he still be doing his own thing?
Well, and then here's a question: is he Prince Solo? Or is he King Solo?
I hope they make a joke about that.
Yeah,
that'd be hilarious. Well, there's no Alderaan, so he can't really be a princess
You know what's
anymore.
interesting? I just kind of realized being at Celebration last year, we saw an interview with Carrie Fisher, right? James Arnold Taylor. For years she had short hair, right? She's been growing her hair out.
Yeah,
she's got long hair now. I mean, Leia.
They've been talking
Leia's
for a while.
no. Leia has long hair, so I'm wondering if this has been in the plan. I mean, obviously, I think she's known for at least a year, if not more. But I can see why she's growing the hair out. Gonna get those hair buns going again or something.
Some kind of crazy hair. And just looking more into this, like the Skywalker children will be face the demons of their Skywalker lineage. And like people are talking like, I hope they don't resurrect Darth Vader. I hope they don't bring Darth Vader back. But he still has to be a presence of some sorts.
I mean, I would love. I think you have to bring Hayden Christensen back as a ghost.
That's another question. Like, I mean, if they're bringing him as a ghost, will they bring Obi-Wan back as a ghost or Yoda back as a ghost?
I think you do.
Like because in the books in the Thrawn trilogy. Like they kind of disappeared in it, so they almost went like to afterlife.
Oh, really?
Like Obi-Wan kind of like faded away as a ghost, so he's no longer with them anymore.
So yeah, I think he's gonna. I think to Lucas, I think he's gonna still be around.
That'll be awesome.
I think
Ewan McGregor will have to be Obi-Wan.
I think you have to bring him back. Yeah. As make him look like Alec Guinness because they were right there with it.
They can do that.
Yoda would be the same. Yeah. I mean, and then I think it'd be cool to see Hayden Christensen back there because. I mean, think about it. He gets inserted he's part of Return of the Jedi now, even though he wasn't even born yet. And then to be part of this later, I just think he gets a bad rap, but I think I think that'd be really neat to have him talk to an older Luke. That would be freaking awesome.
I just want Leia and Luke to actually know who their father and their mother is.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
And just talking about this says here the rumor is the Skywalker Solo children. I feel like this means there'll be more than one kid, but it has like Skywalker / Solo, which I think means I think it could mean just Han and Leia's because it's Skywalker / Solo. So, there's speculation whether or not we'll get the Jaina, Jason, Solo twins. I don't know if we'll get twins. I think they should do twins. Just
I think
because
that's
awesome.
Too. Yeah,
but I think we'll definitely get more than one child. And it says also 30 years after. which already destroys so much with this plot line.
Yes.
Because 30 years after, that's after the New Jedi Order.
Yes.
And so...
Oh, really?
Yeah, New Jedi Order started like 25 years after...
Oh, wow.
Let's see. After the Battle of Yavin. So that was even earlier. So it's like 20 years after Jedi almost.
Wow, yeah.
So if Star Wars Episode 7, start, and we see Chewbacca, for instance, that already discontinues everything.
'Cause he dies.
Yeah, he dies. And if we don't see Mara Jade, boom, that's something. I mean, there's so much that
Yep, Mara Jade was in the Thrawn trilogy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was her origin.
Yeah,
it's
because that's 5 years after Jedi.
yeah.
Yeah, basically everything prior, even if it is Jason and Jalen or Jaina, they're not going to be the same stories.
Yeah,
so
probably not even the same names.
yeah, exactly. They could change the name. I think they might hold true to some like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did name them Jason and Jaina. But yeah, that was I just think that's a great idea if you're bringing, if a disciple goes back to the homeworld, Sith homeworld, which I think it's called Korriban. And just the last 30 years has just been building the Sith army. Because that trailer in Old Republic when they come bursting in the temple and they jump out.
That's what we'll see.
We're going to
see that.
Man, that is going to be awesome. I mean, that is going to be...
Because that's what we have to. We need a bigger threat than the Empire for these movies, and I think I've been seeing a trend with these recent comic book films like The Dark Knight, Dark Knight Rises, Iron Man 3, and even Star Trek. Now you have that villain that's just like so absolutely evil and causes such a wide destruction that like even when they're captured and arrested, they're still super super dangerous. And I think like in Star Trek, he's just like sweeping through Earth, destroying it. Like the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, he's just destroying America. Dark Knight Rises, he just destroyed Gotham. Like,
right.
We'll get that with this. I think we'll get this army that just wipes the galaxy. Just like if anybody out there who reads the New Jedi Order, the Yuzan Vong, that they were basically that. They were just this force that couldn't be stopped, and so they just one sweep just destroyed a lot of the galaxy. I think we'll get that with this. We're just going to get destruction and chaos and evil that we have not seen in any of the other movies.
Wow, yeah.
Because it's like, the prequels in the original trilogy, you had just like two Sith and the dark side with them. It clouded everything, but there are just two of them. Now we're going to get a whole army of dark side users. So that evil will just...
And what that came down from, if people don't know, we'll get into this because I think the Sith is one topic that we will definitely profile. But a real quick history is that they used to be hundreds and thousands of Sith, but they not only did they fight Jedi, but they fought each other because they were power hungry. So when the Great Sith War happened, basically the final one, I think it was on Korriban, right?
Probably.
I think it was on.
I'm not entirely familiar,
but. Yeah, we'll reveal this when we get into it, but only one of them survived, which was Darth Bane, and he's the one that created the idea of only two, a master and apprentice, and that they were gonna hide in secret. And that was what Mace Windu refers to in Episode 1, or not Mace Windu, but
Yoda.
No, the other guy,
Ki-Adi-Mundi. Which one did we just destroy or something like that?
He says, he said the Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that was 1,000 years when Darth Bane went into hiding, and they've been plotting this for 1,000 years, one after the other. Master and apprentice. When an apprentice got power, he would destroy the master, take an apprentice, until Darth Sidious comes around, and and Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, are the ones that reveal themselves. So. That's what Maul says. At last we reveal ourselves as a Jedi. So it's interesting that whoever is the disciple, which I'm guessing that Palpatine knew that it wasn't somebody that happened to just hear about what happened in the Old Republic, because I think he had to have been told by Palpatine, look, if something happens to us, this is what you do. You go and build an army, train, give everything I taught you, and go train an army. So that's why I think that's what happened, is that when Episode 6 happens, he goes It says, okay, I'm going to wait 30 years,
Yeah.
build this army, and then boom.
Yeah. And we talked about this, and I was kind of in disagreement with you for a little bit, but thinking it, I do agree now that it has to be someone that Palpatine knew, but I don't know if it's the person that you think it is.
Yeah, right.
But,
Well,
yeah.
I will say it.
Okay.
A couple of us think that it's Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm only saying that
Because of what?
because of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because at the last thing we saw of him,
Mm-hmm.
and unless they close his story arc, I'm going to believe it even more.
I will be on board at that point.
If they don't reveal anything that's happened to him, because what's the last thing he says?
They're like, I have plans for
I
you.
have plans for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I was trying to look up like his life expectancy because obviously it would be 50 years because this is 20 years before episode 4. Then you're talking 30 plus years, 34 years beyond that. So you're talking 55 years.
I would think that they would, yeah.
So he's
live
probably
longer.
what, in his 20s maybe, at this point.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, but he's got the dark side. So that makes you have long life too as well. So yeah, I wouldn't expect him to be the same Darth Maul.
Yeah.
But the guy that trained everybody and kind of I'm on board on that right now.
Yeah, I will be. Yeah, if we see these two story arcs, if it doesn't deal with
Yeah.
Asajj Ventress or Maul,
Well, one of them's got to be Ahsoka, I'm assuming, but unless they think that was enough to close her out, where she just walks away.
which is another thing. If they don't just talk about Ahsoka, then she could still be alive.
That's possible.
And yeah, I mean, talking about Maul. I don't know. See, it's interesting. I don't know if this disciple of Palpatine will be the villain through all 3 movies or just Episode 7, and then maybe he'll die and then his second will take over.
Right, and I agree because I'm with you though. I don't think that the disciple is the central evil character.
I think it could be though.
You say it could be, but but if I'm going with Maul, he is not going to be. I think there's going to be someone under him that is the guy that carries throughout the 3 movies, because just like I don't think Luke is going to be the central hero. It's going to be the kids, right? So, I think how badass would it be, a Maul Luke Skywalker fight?
That would be super
I mean,
awesome.
come on, man. That's bringing both trilogies together right there.
Yeah.
Man, I want to see that.
That'd be so cool. That's what I think it is possible that this disciple could be the main villain. If it's Maul, I don't think it will be because he's been done already.
Yes, totally.
So if it's some new character we don't know about,
I think it has to be a character we don't know about.
Yeah, and I think he could.
You're
be
talking about the disciple,
Yeah,
or
the disciple.
The disciple.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And so then this inner demon. So I feel like we'll get some struggle with the Skywalker children, struggle with the light and dark side.
Yes.
And so maybe we'll see a Jason turn to the dark side.
It's possible.
Which spoiling for expanded universe people.
Yeah.
If you read the books. So yeah.
Yes, Jason, right?
Jason turns.
Yeah.
And Jaina even toys with it for a little bit as well. And in some of the books, but she comes back around because in the books it was Anakin Skywalker, the third child.
Right.
He was killed. And
Anakin Solo.
Anakin Solo was killed.
Yeah.
And Jason Solo was thought to be dead, and that Jaina was just torn apart. So she was just.
Well, isn't Jaina the one that kills Jason?
That's what I've been told. I haven't read the book, but that's what I've been told.
Yeah, I think she ends up killing his brother, her brother.
Yeah,
because he's dark. He's on the dark side.
Darth something. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, it's expanded universe is very. And I do want to mention before we move on. Now that it is over, I just want to commend all the people that worked on the Clone Wars because I am, especially the voice talent.
Mm-hmm.
We had a fortunate time we met Sam Witwer, who at the time hadn't worked on it yet, but he was worked on Force Unleashed. He's the voice of Darth Maul. We saw James Arnold Taylor's act, who is the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Plo Koon, and what a great guy he is. I mean, he is a fantastic person. He loves Star Wars. If you get a chance to see his act, go see it. You will not believe how many voices that you've heard.
Even on commercials,
Yes. But even Matt Lanter, who's Anakin, and who's the girl that does Ahsoka?
Ashley Eckstein?
Yes, Eckstein. And then, then you got
Tom Kane
is Yoda.
Kane,
you got Catherine Tabor, who's Queen Amidala. I mean, these people spent so much time. Dave Filoni, I mean, he just did a great job, I think, with this. I mean, I know he met with Lucas constantly about this, so it did come from Lucas, but I think Dave Filoni definitely suggested the right story arcs and the right way to tell it. And I love how it didn't just always center on Luke, or not Luke, I'm sorry, Anakin or Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
It had so many different storylines. You learn so much more about the universe. I just can't imagine people not being a fan of this that are Star Wars fans. It's hard for me to.
It also puts a different perspective on Episode 3.
Totally.
You know, because you are in love with the clones now. They're not just clones.
That's right.
And you know.
And see, those are arcs. I think they wanted to. Did you see that clip where they showed
that one Jedi? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
awesome, man.
Like I guess it's the Order 66.
Yeah, it was. But
he was just malfunctioning.
He was. It like went through him first before it just happened. It was a glitch that just happened.
Yeah. If no one knows what we're talking about, there's when this whole thing was released about the Clone Wars being done with. Dave Filoni talked about it briefly and was, saying thank you for all your support. And here is a clip that we will hopefully release to you as bonus content. And there's like a 2-minute clip of some battle between the Republic and the Separatists, whatever. And there's like several Jedi fighting in this battle. One of the clones is like just having some sort of breakdown. He's like, I don't want to say malfunction because he's not a robot, but his mind is kind of going out.
Yeah.
And he just keeps looking at this one Jedi. And then like something snaps in him. And he just starts walking to this Jedi as she's fighting, and she's like deflecting lasers from the robots. He says something I can't remember. Like I must, for the chance for. He says something.
I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
And then he shoots her. He goes right up to her and shoots her and kills her. And then like he snaps back like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So like that is huge. Like,
that is huge.
Like,
and for everybody who wants to know, go to Star Wars YouTube channel. Yeah. It's / Star Wars, and it's the video called "The Future of Star Wars," and Dave Filoni talks a little bit about it in the beginning, and then boom, you see this clip, and it's pretty intense.
There's so many not plot holes, but there's so many open questions that Clone Wars should answer, like Ahsoka, Maul, Ventress, even some of the characters. Like we were gonna see what happened to Cad Bane or these other like Hondo. Hondo Akana, whatever his name is.
Yeah,
the pirate. And even like little characters like there's just little things.
Well, there's still Death Watch is kind of
Death Watch, Mandalore,
yeah. I mean, and then
Captain Rex.
And then Captain Rex was the big one because everybody's like, because Commander Cody obviously survives, but you have Captain Rex who's a big part of the Clone Wars. Yeah. There's a lot of God. You need a whole season. I just wish they would just. I wish they would just do season 6 straight to video. That's what, I just wish they would just do that instead of just releasing because we're only going to get these arcs probably on video or online. I don't think they're going to get aired.
Yeah, and I was thinking season 5 would end with a big battle between like Maul, Dooku, Ventress. Like the Sith apprentices duking it out.
Do you think Ventress should be killed? Yeah,
I always assumed she was, but I read a theory that she doesn't have to be killed because she's like a bounty hunter now, so she could still be out there.
That's right.
I mean,
they could bring her back. I mean, they could bring Ahsoka back still.
Yeah,
because I always thought Ahsoka was going to die.
Me too. Everybody did,
but I love how they did that where she walks away. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. Okay, so we'll keep up with that as far as the news and give you our opinions on what's going on. Hopefully we'll get more and more news so we can keep this podcast going so we know what we're talking about. But again, so we'll get in our last couple things here, but we'll close it out here shortly. And next week we'll profile something else. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I think I want to profile the Sith.
Okay.
So we'll talk about the Sith and their history and how they became the bad guys of the galaxy. We do want to mention real quick, Casey just now read, I gave him the first 3 issues of the new Star Wars comic, and is simply just called Star Wars. It takes place right after 6 months after the first Death Star just gets destroyed. So it's 6 months after Episode 4 and 2.5 years before Episode 5, because they're searching for a new base. What are your thoughts on the comic so far?
I really liked it. They didn't like wow me in a sorts, but I love what they did with Darth Vader. Probably the biggest. It feels like these characters, like It's really interesting because they're in a way they're the same characters, but they're a little different. Like Luke is a bit of a hothead. It seems like in some of these comics, he's like,
Yeah.
you know, he's already known as the best pilot and like such world renowned because he blew up the Death Star, and he kind of totes that in some parts, like talking to Leia, like I blew up the Death Star. You know, I was a part of that kind of thing, and Leia's like getting on to him about you're still a part of a team though.
Yeah.
And Han is off doing his own thing on Coruscant, and Vader though is getting disciplined by the Emperor because of all this stuff that happened with the Death Star. And Darth Vader, we're seeing Darth Vader kind of in a inferior position. Like he like in one of the comics, he just got demoted in a sorts. Like he got his Star Destroyer, the Destroyer, the Devastator taken away from him. This is before he got the executor. I always pronounce executor. I don't know, but it's so hard. So he's like got this Imperial commander kind of taking away his Star Destroyer. So Darth Vader's like just it's really cool what they're doing. The one thing I don't like about them, I feel like the endings of these comics, because usually the last panel, I'm always expecting some big thing in the last panel. I haven't gotten like a big twist or a big surprise in these comics. So I mean, I'll keep reading it, but
I do feel like though. When I was reading the first and second one, though, I do feel like they've the guy's writing it. Who's his name's Wood. I can't remember his first name, but I feel like he's capturing the movie characters really well.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean? I really think that he's. I don't know. For some reason, it made me feel like it was a good continuation as far as what was. I love the scene. I can't remember. I think it was in the second one. The part where Leia's like looking back at all the photos and pictures of Alderaan, and
it was like a tourist video on a holonet or something.
Was
like
it
that.
this one? Or I can't remember. It was one or two. I think it was the second one, and I was like, that really got to me a little bit. I was like, God, that is because you never saw it in the movies. You never saw her, go through that period of sorrow.
Yeah,
she just was all business, and I mean, her whole life was destroyed. You know what I mean? I mean, her best dress and everything is gone. Whatever. I don't know.
She's stuck with the white one, the same outfit. she
had to go get a whole new wardrobe. I mean, come on. That would devastate most women.
Yeah, I was left. I was taping one of my shows.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I never knew what happened. What happened?
Pretty Little Liars. No. But that's another thing too with Leia. We're seeing her like in an X-wing, like fighting, stuff like that. That's really cool. And we're really seeing Wedge and Tilly's do some cool stuff. Yeah, they are. I do feel like this is a great continuation, but we're still seeing some things we didn't get from the movies, which is awesome.
Yeah, it is. I think it's going to fill in the gaps really well because that is one part. Like I said, Shadows of the Empire. After between 5 and 6, I don't think we've had anything between 4 and 5.
I don't know.
I don't think there's, but because there was a whole thing with Lucas when the first trilogy came out too. Was like there was time periods that were off limits. Clone Wars were off limits. Anything between 3 and 4 was off limits. That's why I don't think we've ever gotten anything in expanded universe. That's why Shadows of the Empire was so special because that was the first one that happened between the movies, right? So I think
I'm trying to figure out because there's a book series, the X-wing series. I'm not sure when they take place. I'm trying to look it up.
Oh, the Rogue Squadron, right? There's Rogue. It's called Rogue Squadron.
There's a video game called that, but there's a game based off the series. But I'm trying to figure out real quick.
The Rogue. You're talking about the books, the X-wing books.
Yeah, the X-wing books.
Yeah. I want to say this probably happened after episode 6, but I'm not sure.
I'm trying to skim it, but I can't find it while I'm skimming. Oh well. There's I mean, that's one of the criticisms I've ever seen. There's not enough story. Like, where are you going to talk about Star Wars? There are unlimited room to tell more Star Wars stories. So we will have Star Wars forever because you can go forever in the timeline.
Yes. So we were going to do our last thing here, which is trivia. Yeah. So like I said, we have a book called Obsessed with Star Wars. We're going to start doing our first run of question, or just our first question. What we're going to do is basically it's a multiple choice question. We are going to go ahead and we had debated whether or not we're going to let this linger till, but we're just going ahead and tally it up right now. We're going to randomly select a question.
Crazy.
I'll do the first one here.
And these books are some of these questions are so obscure, and some of them are really easy. Yeah.
Okay, real quick. I found the X-Wing series.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up too. On Wikipedia.
Yeah. Trying to find a time period here.
Yeah, sorry guys. Listen to it.
Yeah, listen to it. So, is the series written by Michael, named after the X-Wing Starfighter chose the Rebel Alliance? Starfighter of choice for the Rebel Alliance. The series consists of it was X-Wing Rogue Squadron, X-Wing Wedge's Gamble, X-Wing the Krytos Trap.
Yeah, there's a good length series. I
mean, there's several books.
My buddy, 6 ABY, so right after episode 6.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm pretty sure. Yeah, current 6.5. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't think Shadows of the Empire is the only thing besides the Clone Wars animation series that took place anytime during the movies that between 32
there might
BB.
be some like comic or something. I would think. I would just think that there's something though. Maybe
I don't think there was, man. I really don't think there was.
Yeah.
Because all the comics were either Old Republic comics, or they were expanding universe, like beyond the movies. I don't know. Like I said, there was that novel, the Boba Fett novel. So that would have, but that's been dismissed.
Let's see, there's like a huge timeline here that like talks about it. But let's see, Shadows of the Empire. I would say you have episode 5. Okay, here's what's listed. You have episode 5. You have Tales of the Bounty Hunters, which I don't know what that is. Then Shadows of the Empire. And Tales from the Empire. And then Return of the Jedi. These Tales of the Bounty Hunter there, Tales of the Empire, I think it's short stories. So you have like little short stories about the bounty hunters, but not much. Like you said, it's crazy. So what's our question?
Okay, so we're gonna randomly have this select.
Yes.
And
how many questions are in this book?
2,500 questions.
Okay, so we have enough.
So 2,500 episodes.
Let's do
the
this.
podcast.
Number 1.
So got to figure out how. Let's see. Shit, we probably should have.
It just gives you a number, and then you find it in the book.
Yeah, but is it set on random?
Yeah, it should, right? What number is it?
No, it's shit. It's shoot. Damn, we should have looked at this beforehand.
It's all right.
Because there's a way to make it random or make it because in order. Right now, I think it's going in order.
Oh crap. You just want to flip through it real quick. There's no like answer thing?
Select a question. Okay, I'm just going to randomly select. Here it is. Okay, so it's question 801.
801. Okay. And we're back.
So the error. So really, it is during Attack of the Clones era.
Okay.
801.
Yes.
Okay. This is an easy one.
Dang it. Maybe I won't get it.
Who said, "We are encouraged to love"?
We are encouraged to love. Okay.
A. Padme Amidala.
Yeah.
B. Anakin Skywalker. C. Obi-Wan Kenobi. D. Yoda.
We are encouraged to love. All right. So, give me the numbers. I have the answer. What were the letters again?
Padme A.
Yeah.
Anakin B.
Okay.
Obi-Wan C. Yoda D.
All right. So fans out there, if you want to guess
now.
Do something. Yeah. You can't really tell us because this has already happened. All right. I have my answer.
I have my answer.
All right. B. Anakin Skywalker.
And I am saying B myself.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding,
Yay,
ding.
we
So
did
we both
it.
got it right.
Tied.
All right. So we are
Give
tied.
it a whole nother week.
Yeah. We are 1-1. 1-1.
Yes.
1-0. Well, I guess that's the tie. So it's
1-1.
0-0-1.
Okay.
Because it's a tie, right? So
binary, you just said something really bad.
0-0-1. Yeah. So we'll keep that tally going, and we'll see who is the master.
And who's the apprentice?
And who's the apprentice? Because basically, I guess the winner is going to be the main host.
Okay.
Whoever the master is, the guy's just the apprentice.
Get a T-shirt.
Anyway, that does it for our first show. I think I think they'll be maybe a little shorter from now on, but this is good to get it out there. Because I don't know if we'll be able to have as many opinions on stuff. Because if news is light, we won't be able to talk about too much. But well, I don't know what to say besides, like I said, we are a part of the 21 Network. Check out the rest of the podcast at 21network.com. You can click on any of the podcasts there, subscribe and listen. Follow us on Twitter at Inside the Force. Mm-hmm. Casey is personally at Kryptonian.
Kryptonian 1138.
1138.
Yes.
Everybody should know what that means.
Yeah, come on. Give it.
I'm at D Cottingham 21.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, man. And every Tuesday, check us out. Comment. Let us know what you like about it, what you don't like about it. Honestly, too, if we messed up anything about Coruscant or anything, hit us back. We love getting corrected. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we'll find some corrections of our own. So, but next week we are going to talk about the Sith, and then have another topic to talk about. Catch you up on some news on Star Wars. So, Case, any last words?
May the Force be with you.
That's good.
Always.
I was actually going to close on that. I think.
May the Force be with you. Always.
So, that's.
You can say.
I was going to say
that'll be your tagline from now on. Sorry.
That's all right.
Say it as someone else.
That's whoever ends the show. That's how we're going to end it. We're going to basically say thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Tune in next week, and may the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network, a collection of weekly podcasts. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.